And we are live, yay! Good evening, everyone. I am going to go ahead and play the intro, and we are going to get started. We're going to jump in today. Hello, hello, hello. There Sue is. She's dancing. Good evening, everybody. So, I'm sorry that I did not go live on Thursday, guys. Life. Anyway, I wanted. I was trying Thursday to go live, and I figured that I was putting just too much into doing one live, and it was kind of distracting for some of you guys. So I'm trying to dwindle it down just a little bit. As always, no matter what we're doing, you can always ask your design space questions or project questions. We will answer them in the chat, and if we need to go on screen to show you how to do something, we will do that. That is never going to change. So if you have a question or you need anything in design space or you need project help, put it in caps, and either myself or the moderators are going to help you out with that. And we, like I said, we'll go on screen and do that if you need it. So I took Thursday's lesson because I wasn't feeling well. I took Thursday's lesson and I actually split it into two because I had a request to show how to do some things in Shortcuts-A-Lot and how to create SVGs, a couple of things, and it just wasn't enough for the plan, so I added a few things to it. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff in SCAL tonight, and show you how to get it into Design Space as well. And then on Thursday, and I'm just going to say the disclaimer now, the foil quill will void your machine warranty. I have a machine that's out of warranty, and I am going to cover and show you guys what that will do. So if you have a machine out of warranty and you want to try it, you'll see how it works. I am not going to encourage anybody to void their warranty, but I myself love the tool, and a lot of people do love it. So we are going to cover it on Thursday and show how you can use that tool and what it does. So I'm just going to let you guys know now and let you make the choice for yourself. So that will be on Thursday. So tonight, let's dig in to some Shortcuts-A-Lot. Now, I had both of these up so that you could see them from the splash screen here, the Georgia one, and then how to make flower templates. And when I rebooted, for some reason, it won't let me open my Georgia one now. So we're just going to start over with that one. But first, I want to start with the Learn to Make Flower Templates because, guys, it's so much simpler than what you think it is, okay? And before we get into it, I just want to say, for those of you who are Access subscribers or those of you who are not and think that it's not worth it, you need to take a look because it is. Because several times a year, Cricut does give exclusive Access member sales. This one here on the left is for the Maker Tool Bundle, the quick swap tools with the engraving, the perforation, the debossing, and I left one out. Which one didn't I say? The wavy tool. That is the bundle for those, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the scoring wheels are included in there too. You'll have to take a look at it, but it's the bundle, the Maker Tool bundles. It's $139 on sale, okay? But if you have Access, you can see what that total is. Now, your tax may vary, but it's taking $72 off of that. So if you don't have your Maker Tools, I would go get them while you have the chance during the sale. The sale will end, usually sales end on Tuesday, midnight Mountain Time. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but I believe that's correct. And then a new sale will pop up shortly after that. So that is your Maker Tools. If you need them, now is the time to get them. when you can get them during the sale. If you don't have access, that $9 is worth saving $70, so add it. And this one is the green mats. Now the blue mats, you can get those in bulk too, but it's only 15 mats, and it's a little bit more than this. But guys, this works out to 30 green mats. They come out to $2.25 each before tax. Don't pass those up. They'll last you a long time. So make sure you get your mats or your tools if you need them. Link for Cricuts down below in the video description. I'm just going to minimize Design Space for now. We don't need it. But here is our Sure Cuts A Lot. And when you open up Sure Cuts A Lot, this is what it looks like. Plus the library. And I didn't bring the library over here, so let me grab that and slide it over here. So when it opens up, your Sure Cuts A Lot is going to open just like this. This is Sure Cuts A Lot 5. Yeah, Tuesday night. Yeah, the time fluctuates sometimes. I go off the mountain time because that's where Cricut is. So, but Sure Cuts A Lot 5 up here in the top. You can see it. You do not need Pro unless you want it. If you're a graphics designer, you might want Pro. There are a couple of things that Pro will do that the regular Sure Cuts A Lot will not do. And I have a link down below for it as well. But you don't need it. I'm just going to say, to do what we want to do, it's just a complement to Design Space. It just helps us and gives us those extra tools that we need sometimes in Design Space that we don't have. Okay? Like shadows and things like that, and you're fixing to learn some of those. But somebody asked me, how do you make SVGs? Well, just about any image can be made into an SVG. And here's a flower template that I've been working on to make, to share with my supporters. I'm going to show you guys how to do these. These are very easy, very simple to make. You don't have to go buy your giant flower templates, and you can even make these smaller and make smaller flowers out of them, guys. You don't have to make them giant, but you don't have to go buy these off of Etsy. There are several in Design Space already in access, but if they're not quite what you're looking for, you can make your own very easily. It's only a few steps. And you can probably even make them in Design Space. But because they wanted to know how to make an SVG, I thought, well, let's go ahead and show them how to make these with SCAL and upload to Design Space. So I'm just going to go to a new project, and it's going to ask me to name it. And I'm going to name this flower template number 4. Okay? And then I'm just going to say, okay. You can size your mat and all that kind of stuff there that you want. And you can see right here at the top that it has my flower template. I'm going to go over to my library, and I'm just going to look in the basic shapes here, because you get tons of shapes. Yeah, I couldn't be without my Access subscription either, because guys, your Access subscription can add to anything that you can do in Sure Cuts A Lot. You can still add other images and stuff to your SVGs from Access. So I wouldn't be without it either, simply just for the discounts. I'm not giving up that 10%. So I would never do that. So I'm just going to go in here and grab my pentagon, and let's grab, I don't know, let's go with the circle. Let's just go with the circle and make this simple. And I'm just going to close that out, and now I have my 2 shapes here. When you're in Sure Cuts A Lot, you may notice some things that, if you're getting familiar with Design Space, some of the things are going to act the same. Your T for text, all of these are about the same in just about all programs. So you may recognize some tools and some you may not, but if you get in here and play, you will get familiar with them. I'm just going to move my circle up, and here I have my pentagon, and when I select it, I get my bounding box with my handles, just like you do in Design Space. The difference is you see no lock on these like we have in Design Space. You have to hold your shift key for the lock so that it doesn't skew. So if you hold your shift key and you stretch, then you keep the proportions, it stays the same. You can see that it's marked right here. I think they may have changed it. Let's see. Yeah, it still locks now. And if you have the SCAL 4, you have to hold that shift key because it will skew on you. But it looks like they have fixed that to where you can have to unlock it now. So it's just out of habit. Do whichever one works for you. I am going to unlock the proportions here, and I am going to kind of narrow that down. That's going to be the base of my flower. And then I'm going to bring my circle in, and I'm going to stretch it out till it hits the tops of that pentagon right there. I don't want a gap in there. I'm just going to bump it down, and you can use your little arrows and just give it a little bump to the right or the left if you're off a little bit, and that looks pretty good to me. And I am just going to select them all by dragging a box, just like in Design Space, or you can right click and select all. Okay, you have those tools in Design Space. There's nothing new there. The difference is when you come up here to path on this, you'll see a union. Union is what we call in Design Space weld. So it's the same tool, does the same thing, okay? Just called two different things, union or weld. And you'll see that this line, just like when I weld in Design Space, is going to disappear on that circle when I hit union, and it's going to make that shape. So now I have a new shape to work with. But I'm not done. Now I could stop here and call that my petal and be done with it. But I want to change the shape of it slightly and make it look a little bit different because I don't want mine to look like everybody else's. This I can do in Design Space. I don't need shortcuts a lot for it. But if I come up here and I click my node tool, and that is what it's called, node, N-O-D-E, it's a node tool. It shows all the nodes, and what nodes do is it tells your blade where it's going to cut and where to go next. So this is your cut line, and it's telling your blade to go from this point to this point to this point, and it changes the degrees as it goes around. So your nodes are what tells your machine how to cut the shape. And if you've got too many of them, I know some of you have probably uploaded some SVGs and it sounded like your machine was a machine gun, and that's because there's too many nodes concentrated in one area, okay? And that's what will happen. So you want to make sure that you watch your nodes when you're designing so that you don't get too many of them. But the thing is you can come in here and you can click on these nodes and you'll get these little handles. And oops, if I can grab them. I have a tough time grabbing them. There we go. You can grab these little handles and pull them out. And this is how you can create your own shapes, okay? Just by grabbing these handles and moving them. I don't want that up there. There we go. But you can get these and you can change the shape of whatever it is that you're doing by simply bringing out these handles. So all I'm doing is basically I'm creating my own rose petal. And I don't want it to be all uniform and stuff like that at the top. I want it to have some character. And so now I have created, just by moving a few nodes on there, my own flower pattern. I don't like that that's a little too deep there, so I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. That's a little too much. That gives me a sharp edge. So let's go and get this one and fix that. So now I have the kind of shape that I want for my own petal. Now, a lot of us like to put that cut line in here to cut so that we can make our petals cup a little bit. And you can do that as well from the library here by getting a line right here. And let me close that. Now I have this line and I can make it the length that I want. Let me go back to my select. This is up at the top, and I can stretch that. But myself, when I do my flowers, I don't like those cut lines on mine. I like to cut mine myself because I like them to cup differently. I may want to cup one more than the other. So I end up having to either cut, and sometimes they're cut too deep for me. So I like to do those by hand. But you can certainly add one just by putting that line in there if you know how deep you want it to be. You can select that and bring it If I can get it to work. Bring it down to the center, and then you can just group it. When you take it into Design Space, and I'm going to leave this one in there just so you guys can see, you need to group everything together. So let's right click, select all, and group it. You have your group tool in Design Space. Same exact tool, does the same exact thing. Okay? And I like to kind of make mine the max, which is 11.5 inches. Again, you've got your proportions over here. 11.5 in height. It's the max we can cut. So that's going to be the biggest petal right there. I can't go any bigger with that petal than that. And I know this. Okay? Now, I can come in here and I can arrange and go to Appearance and add a shadow layer. And actually, I want to do inset instead of inside. I'm going to do an inset, and I can decide how large or small I want that inset to be. And I can say that I want 4 of them. I don't like the way that's looking. If you only have one, you can do that. You'll want to, of course, round it off. Pick your rounded. And I just don't like the way that's looking. Sometimes if you get one, you can do that. But this not working for this petal because of the shape I made it. So I'm just going to cancel that out. And I'm just going to right click and copy. Again, you have that tool in Design Space. I'm going to Control V. And I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to make this, I don't know, 10 inches. I'm going to make it 1.5 inches smaller. And then I'm just going to Control C, Control V, come over here and make this one maybe 9 inches. You can, it's up to you how much you want. That's a little too much of a gap for me, so I'm going to take that one back up to 10. So let me get the second one, 10.5, sorry, 10.5. But most of these tools you already have. You're already familiar with them. You just don't know that you're familiar with them. So you can just go in and keep copying and changing the size of these to whatever sizes you want until you have as many petals as you need. And let's make this one 7. So now I have my flowers. I have it set up. Super easy, super simple. Now I need to save it. Now I can say, if I'm not through working on this file, I can come back and do that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select all, and I'm going to go to up to the top. You have to go up to Object and Arrange, or Align, I'm sorry. Your Align tool is not in your right click. It is at the top. And I am just going to align bottom, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to align the centers horizontally. So now I've got everything aligned. I'm going to right click and group it. So now when I send it into Design Space, it's going to go in grouped. All of my lines, my cut lines for the bottom are going to go in grouped. I have to ungroup it, and I have to select my petals and attach. You can make one petal in here, and then you can duplicate and resize in Design Space. Totally up to you, however you want to do that. Okay? So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to File, and you're going to go to Export. Now, if you have, let me just touch on this. I know that you guys see Cutter up there at the top. You cannot cut straight to your Cricut machines. However, if you have other machines, you can. You can go in and manage your cutters. You can add your silhouettes and I think the scan and cut, and then if you have plotters or whatever, I don't know to what degree some of you are using, you can go up there and add your machines, and you can cut straight from here just like you do Design Space. You cannot do that with your Cricut, but you can still use your files. You can still use SCAL. So you go to Export, and you're going to get this box. And you're going to name it, and I'm going to name this Flower Template 4. Okay, and I'm going to save it to my desktop as an SVG. If I want to do it as a PDF or a scan and cut, so that I can take it into Brother Scan and Cut, I can do that. You have several options here on how to save your file. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it on SVG and hit save. Then this box is going to pop up. The first time you use it, I think you have to check Design Space compatible, but then it just kind of remembers it after that. So you want to make sure that you select that and say OK. And now over on my desktop, I just drug it in here. I didn't want to do that. That's another thing you can do. You can drag SVGs in here and manipulate them should you need to. Let me just open it up. There we go. And now here's my SVG that's open in Chrome. It comes in. It's not zipped or anything. To zip up your file, you're going to right click and compress it or zip it. Depends on which computer you're on. And then you can share it or email it or upload it to places from there. Excuse me. And it's ready to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is go to my Design Space. I'm going to go to a new project. I'm going to upload. I'm going to click upload again. And I am just going to drag that file right over in there that I just saved to my desktop. You can see it right there. Flower template 4 SVG. Going to let go of it. And I am going to put petals, flower, giant, 3D. That's just me. You name and tag any way that you want to do. And I'm just going to put on here CWA so I know that this is one that I created. It's mine. I don't have to worry about infringing on anybody's copyrights or anything else. I can do whatever I want to do with this file. And I can hit save. Because I created that from scratch from a basic shape that are free. Public domain. So now I have my own flower petal for my giant flower, and all I have to do, you can put it in your SVG if you want your shape like a circle or a hexagon or a pentagon to glue your petals onto. You can put them in here or you can put them in your file. I don't put them in my file because sometimes I might want to do 5 petals, sometimes I might want to do 6, sometimes I may want to do 3. I may use a triangle. So you know, and of course depending on what you choose for, if you're doing a hexagon, a 6-petal base, you'll need a hexagon for 6 petals, and you'll of course have to duplicate this 6 times or cut it 6 times on the other mat. So that's how you base how many petals you cut for your flowers, because just because somebody says, oh, cut 5 of these, cut 5 of these, or 4 of these, or 6 of these, it's up to you. You can use those petals and create your own flower from them using any shapes that you want. You can make them as small or as large as you want, up to that 11.5 unless you have bigger paper, 11.5 wide. But you don't have to make these giant. You can cut them into any flowers that you want. Super simple, super easy. Okay, and that's where we can't manipulate our lines like that because we don't have a node tool in Design Space. So can everybody see where SCAL is a benefit to you in addition to your Design Space on that one? But we just created an SVG and it only took a few minutes. Super easy, super simple. But those are not all of the tools that are in Design Space. I mean in SCAL. We have, let me just close that. That was my other one. That's going to be a leaf. And I'm going to close this one out. And it's going to ask me, do I want to save the changes? I'm just going to say yes and save it to my desktop, FT4, because I may want to make some changes to it. And I'm just going to save it. It's saving it as a Shortcuts a Lot file that looks like this on my desktop. Just so you know, and you're not deleting any files, it will save like this on your desktop, whatever you name it. Okay, and then you can click on those and open them up right in Shortcuts a Lot. Okay, so what are some of the other tips and tricks that we can do with Shortcuts a Lot? I'm going to show you another one that you can do that's free and you don't have to worry about any copyrights or anything like that on. Let me pull up a page here. And did you know, guys, that if you're using Shortcuts a Lot and you've got like something quick that you want to do, you don't have to install a font to use it one time. You don't have to put it on your computer. Okay? You can go to font, and I'm not going to do it because I have a font in there that I want to use. I think it was, I don't even remember what it was. Maybe I will do one. I think it's Serenity is what I used. But you can, I hope this one's not on my computer. You can hit the download button and download your file. I'm just going to put it on my desktop. Okay? And I'm going to, and you can see it down here in the bottom corner, I'm going to double click to extract it. But I'm not going to install it. Mine's probably going to self-install. No, it won't. It won't. Okay. So I did unzip it. Let's see if I have it. Yep. Wish you guys could see this. I'm just going to take a screenshot and show you that I do have it on my desktop. Okay, but I'm not going to install it. Okay, it's there on my extracted on my desktop. I don't have to install it to use it, and it's called Great Wishes. I'm going to come over here to my text tool, and right here you see that little paper. I'm going to go text and Great Wishes, and I'm going to open it, and it's going to load that font for me. And now I can come in here and I can go to the top. Should be here. It may not even show up in here. It might, yeah, there it is. It's right here, and it's a temporary font. I'm going to select it. When I close out and I'm done, it's going to go away. I did not install it to my computer, but I can use it in SCAL. If I want to install it to my computer, I can. I do not have to. Okay? Just a little tip there. So if you see a font or you have a project that you need to do and you're like, I'm never going to use that font again, I really don't want to install it, you don't have to. Little way around that. So let's go to our library and let's look up a state. Let's do Idaho. Let's do Idaho. I'm going to search for it. There it is. And I'm going to bring that in to Sure Cuts a Lot. And I don't need that. Just going to hold my shift key and stretch it just because that's habit for me. And Idaho can be a little bit of a weird shape, okay? And I want to say, I'm just going to do the name of the state on here, but you can put any kind of saying that you want. I'm going to go to my text. I've got Great Wishes selected, and I am going to type in the word Idaho. And it's up here at the top. I'm going to get my select tool and drag that down. And you can see that I have it selected. Okay. Next, I want to make sure, let me put this in black so that you guys can see it. Again, you have color selection tools just like you do with anything else. Have my text here. And I don't really want it to be that big. I am going to duplicate, and I hope I remember how to do all of this. I haven't done it. I did it in practice and did it perfect, but I'll probably forget now that I'm in front of an audience. It's been a while. I want to copy it, and I'm just going to paste one over here to the side and hold it off to the side for me. So when you're doing something like that I'm about to do here, when you're doing object on a path, your text has to be above. I'm just going to hide this one. Using the I, you have that in Design Space, nothing new, and that's all I did is I clicked on the I and I hid that one. But you can see this Idaho right here is underneath the state. It has to be above it, and then I can right click. I'm going to select all, and you can see that it highlights right here just like in your layers panel when you select something. This is the same thing. You see it says layers. And then I am coming up to path. And I'm going to go to object on path. And why didn't it work? Let me select them both. Let me get this out of the way. I think it has to be all the way to the top. I'm going to select them both. Go to path. Go to object to path, and it's not working for me. Let me try it again. There's that. Let me just do away with my second one. and put in my text. Idaho, I'm just going to right click and select all. It is on the top. Object to path. Why aren't you working? What did I miss, guys? Louise? I did it so perfect the other day and I didn't miss any steps. Select. Maybe that's it. Select all. Path. It's supposed to work, guys. Let me see. Let me think. I just did this. Maybe it doesn't like my Idaho state. Oh, wait a minute. I did do it with an installed font. Maybe that's what, maybe I can't do that with the font on. Maybe that's it. We'll see. We will see. It is at the top. That's at the bottom. Select. Select it all. Object. Path. Object to path. And it's not working. Okay, let's go to a new project and try it. So I'm going to start over. It's wanting to be temperamental. I'm going to get my state and say okay. I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to get my text. And I am going to make sure that the text is on the top. Select. I'm going to select everything. Path. Object to path. And it's not working. I hate when that happens. It's not text to path, is it? Path? I apologize, guys. I mean, it worked perfectly when I did it earlier. I mean, I did it like one step, boom, boom, did it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember how to do it, no problem. And now it doesn't want to do it. That's kind of bummer. I'm still learning it too, guys, so don't hold me to this, but we're going to figure it out. Okay. So if I go in, object. Okay, here is my state. I want text. Object to path. Still, it's doing what it's supposed to do, I guess. Path. Object to path. It's supposed to jump right over here on the object and let me run it around the side, and it's not doing it. Stroke to path? Nope. So I'm not getting that box to pop up. I can, Marianne, but that won't do what I want it to do. Let's see if I can get it to work the other way. Let's go to library. Let me go to basic shapes. Get an apple. Let me circle. Go here, stretch my circle, put the apple on top. Okay, let's start. Sure cuts a lot. That's the way it's supposed to work, guys. I promise you that is the way it's supposed to work. No, I don't want to save it. Let me just reboot it. I don't know why it doesn't want to do it. I mean, I just did it, so I'm pretty sure that I'm doing the right steps. I'm pretty sure I didn't leave something out. Object on path. Maybe that's what I did wrong. Object on path. So let's just do a new one. Let me get my text, and I'm just going to pick something. There's my name. I'm going to go to my library. Let's get Georgia. Select it. Close it. Select. Select them both. Oops, this has got to be at the top. Path. Object to path. No. I know that's what I did. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. Well, supposedly, you're supposed to be able to object to path, and when you do, then the name comes down here, and you can run it around. A box pops up, and you can run it around the state. I will check and make sure and let you guys know which one it is. But it's supposed to line it up where you want it, and then you can right click and do a shadow layer. And I am going to kind of bump that up to a 0.75 so that I have my shadow. Then I'm just going to pull that out of the way. I am going to right click and do a shadow on the state, and I'm going to bump that up to 0.75 too. Yeah, oh, that's what I did. It was effects. Ugh. Thank you, Louise. That's what I did wrong. I went to, guys, I'm sorry. I see what I did wrong. Thank you for pointing that out. Let's just start over so I don't confuse anybody. Okay, we've got our state. My bad. I went to path instead of effects. Duh. Text. Put in your text. Do as I say, not as I do. Let me change this to black so you guys can see it. Select it. Thank you, Louise. As soon as you said that, I figured out what I did. Oh, come on. Give me that black. Okay. Now I've got my text selected. I've got my state. The text has to be at the top in the layers panel. It is. We're going to select it all. We're going to go to effects, object on path, not object to path. Now you can see there are two different ones. It's object on path. And you're going to select that. And then you're going to get this box that pops up. That's what I was looking for. Now you can start your offset by telling it how far you want that to be. We'll get into that in just a second. But right here, the alignment, wherever you want it to be, and the count. I'm not going to fill the path link. That will put my name around it several times. We're going to turn on auto preview, and you see that it went straight down to the state. Now I can start my offset, and I can put this in line where I want it according to what my offset is on the state. And this is going to be different for every state. And that looks good right there to me for the state of Georgia. Now, if you want it on the left-hand side, you can do that. Yeah, guys, I didn't mean to confuse you. There is an object to path. You want object on path. Make sure you're selecting the right one, not like me, and go to the wrong one. So once you have it on there, you can say OK once you have it where you want. Then we're going to right-click it. Yay, we have a new subscriber. We're going to right-click it, and I'm going to give it a shadow layer on the name. And you can see right there, that's 0.5. That's a little too thick for me. I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to go to about a 7.5 on that right here. And I'm just going to leave it gray and say OK. And now my name has a shadow layer behind it. You can see that. Now I'm going to select just the state. If you look in the layers panel, I've just got it selected. And I'm going to give it a shadow layer. And I'm going to give it that same 0.75 right here. And I'm going to say OK. All right. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my name right here and I'm going to hide it. Okay. That's where I typed it. And I'm going to select just the two states. Just the two state layers. And I am going to merge. And that gives me the outline of the state. And now I have my name here. And now we are going to take those and we are going to, if I'm not mistaken, I want to merge those as well. Nope, not merge. I want to join paths. So I'm going to go up to path and union. And there we go. Now I have that. Now if you have little areas like you're seeing here, let me make this bigger, but I want to make it bigger altogether. So when I undo my name, now I have the shadow. If you have some little bitty areas right here, you may want to contour those out. Totally up to you. You can do that. You would need to break them apart, or you can do it in Design Space and contour. I'm not sure on SCAL if you can contour them out, but you can put a shape over them and weld them, or when you do your shadow layer for that, you can make it a blackout and get rid of those. Okay, so you guys want me to do that again just to show you, because I did not round this one off. This one's kind of squared, and I want to show you that about your appearance layers, just so nobody will be confused because I messed up. So let's go back and let's start over and let's do a new one, and let's go back to and do Idaho. So I'm going to go to my library. I'm going to type in the state, Idaho, just so you can see it with a different shape. I'm going to close that. I'm going to make it big. And I'm going to get my text, type in the name Idaho, not a Idaho. And we're going to change the color just so you guys can see it. Say OK. And now I'm going to make sure that the word is on the top. It is. State is on the bottom. You want that, make sure that that's right or it won't work. You're going to select it all. And we're going to go up to Effects. And we're going to go Object on Path. We're going to Auto Preview, and it's on there. And now we're going to run that around. I'm going to run this around the other way. Kind of like it right there. It just depends on what you're doing and how you want it. Do I want to flip that? I may want to flip that. Reverse the path order. Let's run it around the other way and let's see. But you can see how it's going to follow the lines of the state till you get it where you want it. What looks good for you. I kind of like it right there too. So I'm going to go with that one, and I'm going to say OK. Just give it a little something different. I'm going to come back and select my word. I'm going to right click, Appearance. We're going to add a shadow layer. I'm going to change it to a 0.75. And then you got a few more tools in here. You can come in and do this rounded so it's not so jagged and so sharp. And I'm going to make that a blackout shadow so I don't have all those little holes in there. Okay, so like we had on the other one, I don't want those holes in it. So I've got that, and I'm just going to say OK. And then I'm going to come up to my state, again, I'm going to do appearance, add a shadow layer. You can do this with your words. Everybody's wanting those shadows layers for their words. And I didn't think 0.75 was wide enough for me on that other one. So I'm going to do a 90 on this one and see what that looks like. I'm going to make that black just so I can see it. Maybe go up a little bit more. That's a little too much. That one's good. I went with a 1 on that. So when I hit enter, it just took it away. So now I have those. I am going to take and move my word out of the way, not my state. Undo. Just going to hide my word. And I am going to take my 2 state pieces. I'm holding my shift key and selecting just like I do in Design Space. I'm going to right click and I'm going to merge those. And that's almost like like a knockout. Did I miss it? I did. Undo. I want this one and this one. And we're going to merge. And now I'm going to weld or join paths my Idaho. I can't move it at this point because if I do, it won't be in line. It will have a funky wave to it. Select both of them. And union. Now I have that one, and I can unhide my name, and I'm going to change that to a different color so you guys can see it. Okay, and now you have that text in that line. So super easy, just takes a little practice. You have to work with it, and if you don't do it every day, you may forget some of the steps. You may need to go back in and do those. Just like I forgot. It's been a while since I did it. I was like, oh yeah, I remembered, and then I forgot again. So very easy to do. There are tons and tons of effects in here, guys, where you can do all sorts of things. Let's go to a new project. Now you can do this for your own personal use, okay? We do not recommend that you try to sell an SVG that you have traced or share it in any way unless you want to take responsibility. Sharing it's fine as long as it's for their personal use. But when somebody goes to sell a copyright or a trademark image, you can get into a lot of trouble for that. So you want to make sure that you are not selling it, they're not selling it, things like that. But you can use copyrighted images in Sure Cuts a Lot to create your SVGs. And I'm just going to go and get, let's do a tiger. I guess a tiger or poo or something. Something I know is copyrighted because I want to make sure that you guys know that you can do it, but you should not share it. It should be for your own personal use. Let's just do a poo. I'm downloading an image really quick. Okay, so I have downloaded an image and put it on my desktop of Winnie the Pooh. Okay. With your trace tool right here, you can click on trace and choose an image. And here's my Winnie the Pooh image that I found. Okay. The fewer colors, the better off you're going to be. I'm just going to go ahead and say open it. And it's going to pull that in. And you see all of those red dots? Those are nodes, guys. Or part of the image. That's the blur of the image. You don't want that on your image. You can see right here I have a high node count. That's not going to cut well. You can bring it in into color layers or monochrome layers. And the color layers are what you want. I try to stay around 5 colors when I do mine. I try not to go over that. When you use the smoothing, it's going to, I'm telling it not to smooth because I didn't want to lose detail. But you see how that came in? Not a very good image to trace. But I can clean that up better just by coming in and making a couple of adjustments on it. So I'm going to grab my image again. Going to do color layers. I'm going to smooth this out so that I think I can go up to 99 on that. Might be 100. Yeah, 100. Got a 100. I want to update the preview. I want to see what it looks like, and I still have all of that stuff behind it. So I know that I haven't picked a very good image to do this with. So, I mean, I can resample it a couple of times, but you can see now that's good and clear, but see how those nodes jumped up? These jumped up to 8,130, and that's what it's going to look like. You can do it. Let's bring it in and see what that looks like. And you still have all of that stuff. So I'm going to break it apart. And I'm going to get rid of all of that junk. I'm going to select this. You can see that's what break apart does. Okay. That's not a very good image. I'm going to go get a good image that we can actually use. Something that has, when you select your image, you want high resolution. That's what I'm trying to think of. That was the word I was trying to think of. High resolution, or something that has a clear background. Let me see if I can find something that's more suitable for this. I'm just scrolling through here. You see how this is all shaded? Those don't do well. Let's go with the owl. Why not? Here we go. Let's go with this owl image, okay? Just so you guys can see. I'm going to download the image, and then we're going to bring that one into Shortcuts a Lot. Going to go to Trace. Choose the image. It's right there. I'm going to open it. And you can see this has a watermark on it. You can see right there. But if I come down and bump this down and lose it, I'm going to lose some detail, but that's okay. I'm just going to say okay. And you can see that some of that was in there. But you can bring it in and break it apart into layers. I've got my shape. You have to merge all these layers back together, but you can come in and trace some of these things, okay, and create your own SVGs. Let me see if I can get let me break it apart again. There we go. So now I have my base image, and then I've got this other layer. Sometimes you need to break apart more than once. So you can go in here, and then you can go in and you can slice by moving these and changing them around front to back. Tons of things that you can do. And these are pretty complex images that I'm choosing, guys. You will know if you have a bad image because you won't be able to clean it up. You can still see that I have part of that watermark there. I just didn't want to use, I wanted you guys to see what watermarks will do to tracing image. There are images out there that you can trace pretty easily without anything. Let me find one real quick. Let's go to, let's see. Let me see if I can get a basic image. Here we go. Let's go to Trace. I know you guys are all going to know what this is. I go to Recents and open it. And now I have Mickey, and 4-color is good for that. I'm not going to lose any detail, so I'm just going to take that down, take that out. I'm going to update my preview. Looks pretty good. I'm going to say OK. And now I can shift. And I've got pretty much what I need here. I can break that apart and take his face, all of that stuff. You want the basic shape back there. You don't need all of the details. But you can break this apart into many, many, many different layers, or you can just leave it. I'm going to undo just like it is. Duplicate it. I'm sorry, not duplicate. I'm so used to Design Space. Come in here and add a shadow layer. I'm going to make that shadow layer white. Say OK. I want it to be a blackout shadow. OK. And now I have all my layers. That still isn't a really good image, but you can see that you don't see the grid behind his face now. So I have my shadow layer for his face. You can go in and break that apart and then do this all in little bitty pieces, or do it in yellow pieces, red pieces, black pieces, and then the white pieces. But you can do all of this in SCAL. That still really isn't a good image. They're getting better at watermarking. They're getting better at hidden watermarks so that people can't trace them. You can't access yours from Swing Designs. I would contact Swing Designs. I got mine from Dreaming Tree. I get mine from Leo. Go into your account and see if it's in your downloads. Judy, they may send that to you. I apologize. My husband's phone is going off, and he probably won't hear it for 10 minutes. Okay, let's see. Let me get a better image just so you guys can see how it works a little bit easier. Here we go. Again, like I said, it's going to depend on your image. But let's go to trace. Let me go to my recents. I'm going to open this up. For whatever reason, I need the Domino's logo. I really don't need but 3 colors, so I'm just going to take it down to the 3 color. I just push that up so I can see. I'm going to update the preview. Looks pretty good to me. I'm losing some detail in there. If I stretch it, you can see right here. You see where I'm losing that detail? You can smooth that out a little bit. Got my color layers. It's looking pretty good right there. Let me update it and look. Still losing some detail. Let's go to update that. Yeah, that's even worse. But you have to go in and play with it. That looks pretty good. So now I have my Domino's pizza. Now I can save that as an SVG, take it in, and I can change the colors. I can take and block out this behind it. I can create a shadow layer if I need a shadow layer for it for whatever reason. Do a blackout shadow. You can see it in the gray there. If I need it to be bigger than that, I can straighten it out or round out those shadows. And then once I have that, if I don't like these little divots in there, I can come in with my nodes and I can delete them and straighten that out. You can see how I got all these nodes in there. I can go in there and start deleting some of these nodes. Oops, I didn't want to delete the whole thing. Oh yeah. And you can see when I delete those nodes that some of those go away. So you can straighten that out and do lots of things with that when you're working with your images on Trace. Let me see if it'll let me post the link, Linda. There's my link for it. There's a link down below too. And if I'm not mistaken, you still get a $6.99, I think it is, Dreaming Tree gift card. So, I mean, there's tons of things that you can do in here, guys. One of the main things that people do are the name knockouts. I'll show you that and then we'll wrap up. Because there's just so much in here. There's no way that I can show it all to you in one time. It is a one-time charge, Susan. If they update and they come out with a 6, there's usually like a $20, $25 upgrade fee to upgrade to the newer versions that you have to do. But that's with any software these days. So let's go in and get some text. And I'll just use the ones that most people like. Let's do crafting. And I'm going to change that to the impact font. That's one of the main fonts that people like to do this with. Let's just do create. Let me get rid of that. And select. So now I've typed my word create and I have that in shortcuts a lot. If you want to space those down, you can space those down by working with the tracking. It's totally up to you. Tracking is like your letter space in Design Space, okay? So you're familiar with that tool. Just go in there and play with them. But now I want to do a knockout. Let's do, I don't know if I have I Love Glitter in here or not. There's some letters in front of I Love Glitter and I'm trying to think about what they are. Let me just pick another font. Something thin. Let's see. Let's go with Serenity. And all right, we'll just say something beautiful. And I'm just going to change that to another color so that you guys can see it better, how it works. So now I have both of my words here. I'm going to stretch this. I want it to come out somewhere in there. I am going to go to Path and I'm going to go to Union. I'm going to make those one. I just welded all my cursive together. And I want to knock that out of Create. Okay? Just kind of line it up how I want it here. That looks pretty good to me right there. So let's say that I want to do that knockout. I am going to duplicate my Something Beautiful here. I'm going to Control C, Control V, or paste, whatever. It's not wanting to copy. Command C, Command V. There we go. Just going to bring that down out of the way. I'm going to select both of these and I'm going to go up to Effects and you see the knockout. And then I'm just going to go in and give that some space in Preview. And that's a little large for me. I don't like that. So I'm going to bump that down in Preview. That looks a little bit better. So you may even want to go a little bit smaller than that. Totally up to you. You're just going to say OK. And I'm just going to move that out of the way. I'm going to get rid of this just like you would in Design Space. It's almost like a slice with a shadow layer, except you can skip that shadow layer step. And then I can slide that right in to its spot. And now I have that knockout. So let's Create a different color so it really pops. so you can see that you have that outline around. Super, super, super easy tool. And you can use something besides that. Yeah, it was MF Misty Fonts. That's what I was trying to think of, Louise. Thank you. Misty Fonts, I Love Glitter, is the common one, but you can use any font to do these with, guys. Play around with it. Use it. Check it out. Shortcuts a lot has a lot of hidden tools and things that we can use to enhance design space until we get those tools. Let me come up here, and I don't want all. I want this project. I want the impact. Oh, I didn't get impact. Okay. But lots of things like let me go back and get it. Let me get my impact font just to show you guys the little hidden treasures. Let's center it up. Star Wars. So we have Star Wars here in the impact font. Get my select tool, and I'm just going to stretch it. And I'm going to change the lead. I want those a little closer together. So now I've got those. Let's go up to the effects on that and go to title crawl. Boom. That's pretty good right there. Really don't have to do anything to it. But you want that movie theater look of Star Wars. Very super easy to do. Super, super easy. How easy is that? There are so many tools and so many things in here, guys, that you can do with your text, because everybody is really into working with the text. Super, super fun. You like the font that I used better, Louise? That was Hello. That was the Hello font. So everybody see how we worked and played around with those? But you have to go in and practice. Like I said, I'm still new. I'm still learning new things on there every day. But you can go in and you can start creating simple stuff. You can, lots of things. If you just want a shadow layer or a drop shadow and things like that for your fonts, you can do that. If I wanted to do a shadow layer for this Star Wars for whatever reason, I could do that. You can do rhinestone templates. Let's see. I can do a drop shadow on that. I think. I got a spinning wheel. There we go. You can decide. You can see that little shadow coming up behind my Star Wars. So I can change and do whatever type of shadow I want on that. I can have it remove the foreground so that it takes, instead of being a solid letter behind it, I'll just show you. If I remove the foreground, say OK. I'm starting to bog down. I have so many things open. So now I have that drop shadow with it's already sliced because I removed the foreground. If you don't remove the foreground, it's going to be solid, just a drop shadow solid. So there are tons of things that you can go in here and do. Tons. You did that for your engraved piece? Yeah, the title crawl. Yeah, so it's super easy to use, but you just have to go in and play and learn the ins and outs, just like you did with Design Space. And as you do things, you'll be like, oh, wow, well, that's called this over in Design Space. It does the same thing. You'll be able to do it. Yay, you got your email. Good, Judy. So go in there and play. If you get stuck, ask. We'll help you. They also offer classes, guys. So if you want to do their classes, you can. There is a PDF manual, I believe. I think that the PDF manual that they have, I think I put it in the group files. If I didn't, I will get it and put it in there. So just remind me, because I know I'll forget. But lots of super cool stuff in here, guys. Super cool. You can go in here and do all sorts of stuff and not have to do it. Now, there are ways to do those little shadows like this in Design Space. I showed you those in the old videos. The print to PDF doesn't work, but duplicating and setting them a little bit off of each other and all that, that still works. You can still do it that way if you don't want to get SCAL. So, where is what, Judy? The Star Wars? How I did the Star Wars? That's title crawl and effects. All I did was type it out and space it like I wanted it to, and then I did title crawl. The manual, okay. I will get you guys the manual and put it in there. They have links to all their classes in it. But guys, I mean, super, super simple to use. I always forget to go get my select tool until I try to use it. Your bridge warp. I know somebody had asked me how to do that in one of the posts. And you're just going to come in here and start your offset. But you can see how that bridge warp, how it's staying straight at the bottom and then curving at the top. And then if you want it to curve at the top too, this is a way to curve text as well. Just all sorts of things that you can do, guys. But lots of tools to play with, lots of things. The classes that are available, Judy, it's not from Dreaming Tree. Let me pull it up and just show you guys, just so you'll know. Trying to think of the name of... Craft Edge. I knew that I knew it. Over here on Craft Edge, you'll see you can buy it here. I got mine at Dreaming Tree because it costs less. But if you come over to craftedge.com and go to tutorials, you will see that there are some. Here we go. Nope, wrong one. That's the old versions. Support downloads right here. That's the latest, and you have to check it here unless they fixed it. Here's your tutorials right here. Okay, it's under support, and if you click on that, they've got video. Here it is. Shortcuts a lot 5. The video tutorials, the written tutorials, and the help documentation. And then you can come in here. It tells you all of the stuff. There's a PDF in here somewhere. I've already got it downloaded. I will put it. Scrappy Doo offers Shortcuts a lot 5 Classroom, which is 2.5 hours of video, and you can click here and go to the classroom page right here. But it's paid. You have to pay. I don't remember how much it is. $75 for their class, or you can go in there and play with it and learn it on your own. It's just that it costs more over here for the Shortcuts a lot, or it usually does. Like here, it's $59. Now, if you have Shortcuts a lot 4, you can get the upgrade for $29.99, and it's $59.99 here. And at Dreaming Tree, it is under let me figure out where he's got it stuck now. I haven't been over here in forever, guys. Let me just get my link right. have to get rid of all the junk that the law makes me paste to you guys. SVG tools. There we go. This is where it's at. 47. So it's the same. It's the exact same thing, but it's $47, and you get a Dreaming Tree gift card for $6.99. Julie, it might be they upgraded some things, the pop outs, and things like that. So guys, if you're using my link, you're going to get it for $12 less, and you're going to get a $7 or $6.99 Dreaming Tree gift card. In the new version, you don't have the pop out windows where you can pop out your work windows and move them around. There's a list over on Craft Edge that tells you all the differences between SCAL 4 and 5. It's been so long that I don't remember what they all are. The SCAL 4 does not have bridge warp. Marianne knows that. So, but for $29.99 you can upgrade. And it's always best if you're going to upgrade your Sure Cuts a Lot that you have the current version when the new version comes out, because it will cost you less. Like if you have SCAL 4 and SCAL 6 comes out, you can't upgrade. You have to buy it again. But if you have SCAL 5, when SCAL 6 comes out, then you can pay for the upgrade, and usually they run a special and it's like $25 to upgrade. Yeah, Judy. A lot of people don't realize, but Leo has some pretty good deals over there. So, and again, I'll give you guys that link. It is down below in the video description. But there it is. If it allows it to post, you guys can click on it. Tons of fun. The Pro version is, if you hadn't asked me, I probably could have told you that. On the Pro, it's $169. Let's see if it'll tell us over here. Right here, we have bridge warp, drop shadow. Okay, I don't think we have QR code. I don't think we have QR code. Nope, we have QR code. So all of that's included. Nesting, we have matte templates. I don't think we have matte templates. Then there's another one. I'm trying to skim over it. We can control the cut order, I think. Maybe that's it.2 that's what Pro does, is you can assign cut presets to layers in the control cut option. There's 2 or 3 things like that that are included in Pro that you do not get in 5. But if you're just learning and you're working and you're trying to learn it and just do some things to enhance design space, you really don't need it. 5 is all you need, unless you just want Pro. Because again, we're just enhancing our design abilities with design space with it. But they do have a list, Judy. If you go over on Craft Edge, there is a list of the differences between Pro and 5. You just have to go in there and look for it. Pro will also open the embroidery files. Thank you, Jamie. I knew there was another thing in there. And I really didn't mean to keep you guys so late tonight, but you can see why I split up the Sure Cuts a Lot from the foil quill that we will do on Thursday. Is because I knew this one would run long, just because there's so many hidden things in there. your canned pierce, your rhinestones, the wave if you wanted to wave your text. You can wave it. So many things that you can do with your text and your images. And I do apologize, didn't mean to confuse you guys at the beginning, but remember, Object 2 Path is in your paths, and that's not the one you want for what we were doing. You want to go to Effects and use Object on Path. So make sure you get those straight when you're doing your states and getting your words to follow along an object. That you want to do Object on Path. Object on Path. Maybe one of these days I won't forget it. I always do it right until I get live. Yeah, whenever you do anything like that, it takes time, it takes practice, and you have to play with it. You have to go in and play. Even if you're not in the mood to make anything, you don't have to make anything. Go in there and play with your shortcuts a lot and create yourself some files and play around with them. Again, you can save them without saving them as an SVG so that you can go back in and work on them. All you have to do is just hit your save right here, and it's going to save it as an SCAL file. Oh, you're welcome, Sue. Hey, I make mistakes all the time and forget things all the time. I have to go back and be oops. That's not what I wanted to do there. All right, so we will be doing a project on Thursday. We will be using the foil quill so that nobody is left out. If you have the foil quill, you can see, or you're thinking about getting it, you can see what it does, but we will have a project to put together as well. So if you don't have it, you're not going to be left out. Oh, you're welcome, Hetty. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, guys, you have a wonderful night. I will catch you on Thursday. I will post up on Wednesday on the live post, and I will send it out on Patreon and Ko-fi. I want to thank all my supporters. Thank you, moderators. I appreciate you hanging with me on this long live today, but I wanted to kind of make up for the one we didn't do last week and get a good lesson in on SCAL for everybody. Yeah, I would, Catherine. Because if the 6 comes out anytime soon, you'll have to buy the whole thing over again. It won't jump. It won't jump an upgrade. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to thumbs up and like, comment, ask questions if you need to in the group. We'll see you guys later.